probably the most ironic thing I've ever come to terms with is the fact that when I look for refuting evidence of what establishment science says is true about the world, I'm not a biblical creationist. I don't believe that the entire earth is 6,000 years old and the universe was created by God. I don't believe that. But I can find arguments against establishment on these websites. It says here, Institute for Creation Research. Evidence for a Young Sun. I'm going to go ahead and read this out. This video might be a little long because I have to explain all this stuff out, but according to current models of stellar evolution, when a star like our sun is very young, its enormous output of energy is provided by a gravitational contraction. As it grows older, the models show that the source of its energy should change over to that of nuclear fusion as it slowly develops a very hot and dense core. Where exactly does our sun fit into this sequence? The standard model of the sun assumes that it is around 5 billion years old and that it has already passed into its nuclear burning stage. This makes it all more extraordinary that in 1976, a team of Russian astronomers, writing in the respected British journal Nature, showed how the research pointed clearly to the startling fact that the sun does not even seem to possess a large, dense, nuclear burning core. Instead, their results showed that the sun, as bearing the characteristics of a very young, homogeneous star that corresponds with the early stages of the computer models. The astronomers also proposed that nuclear reactions are not responsible for energy generation in the sun. They said that such a conclusion, although rather extravagant, follows from their own research into the analysis of the global oscillations of the sun and is quite consistent with two other major observational findings. They cited these other evidences as being the observed absence of appreciable neutrino flux of the sun and the observed abundance of lithium and beryllium in the stellar atmosphere. I'm just going to go over the global harmonic oscillations. Now, this was in 1976. It's 2015 now. 39 years ago, they made this discovery. Basically, a harmonic oscillation, I think what it means is that they measure the surface and they measure oscillations. So the acoustic energy that goes through the sun takes a certain amount of time to go back and forth to the center of the sun. So there's a harmonic oscillation with the waves and how they propagate through the center of the sun. I have to look more into it, but basically it means that there shouldn't be oscillations past a certain point, because there's a core in the center. I think what it is, I'll have to probably review this video later, but is it when they measure the oscillations, they should only get short-term oscillations when they go into the center and back. There shouldn't be long oscillation periods, because obviously there would be a core in the center getting in the way. I think that's what it means. I'll have to look into it more. But basically, there shouldn't be a 2-hour and 40-minute oscillation, because then that would mean it goes through the entire center of the star. If a global harmonic oscillation exceeds that, 1 hour, I think it's prescribed, then it means there can't be a core there. I think. I'll have to look more into it. But I'm going to go ahead and read this paper out. This is from the Smithsonian NASA Astrophysics Data System. Observations of a stable periodic pulsations in the sun's surface are reported, which were made with a solar magnetograph modified to measure velocities at the surface with an accuracy of about 1 meter a second. It is shown that the pulsations are small fluctuations with a period of approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes and an amplitude of about 10 kilometers. I think amplitude means the crest to crest on the actual wave. The possibility is analyzed that these fluctuations may be purely radial pulsations of the sun as a whole, but it is found that they are purely radial. But it is found that if they are purely radial fluctuations, then the sun's luminosity should be some 10,000 times less than it observed to be. Two possible solutions to this dilemma are suggested: that nuclear reactions, this is number one, in particular the proton-proton reaction, are not responsible for solar energy generation. Or 2, that the pulsations are in gravitational G mode of quadrupole oscillation. It is noted that the period of the G11 mode is in perfect agreement with the observed pulsation period. Unfortunately, there are no G mode density waves in the sun. Go to Wikipedia, look up helioseismology, scroll down to G mode or gravity waves, and you'll see here since the 80s they have written, there have been several claims of G mode detection, none of which have been confirmed. In 2007, another G mode detection was claimed using the Gulf data, and at the Soho XXI conference held in Boulder, the Phobos group reported that it could not confirm these findings, putting an upper limit on the G mode amplitude of to 3 millimeters a second, right at the detection limit of the Gulf instrument. Basically what it means is, this all summed up in a nutshell, is you have harmonic oscillations inside the sun that are too long of an oscillation. There should only be short oscillations inside the sun. So to justify this, they invented another oscillation mode. Yet after they invented it, they still can't find it. So in other words, it means something else is powering the sun. Because since there's no core, that means the energy production is probably happening on the surface. And obviously, I think a lot of my readers know this, it's a feedback loop. What happens is the plasma recombines into gas, releasing heat, and then it gains so much velocity from its critical ionization velocity, re-ionizes and circulates back up into the granule again and recycles that process. The reason why the sun is bright, literally, is because it's really big. It's as simple as that. There's nothing in the center of it. It's just a big ball of ionized matter. That's it. There's nothing fusion related to it at all. But there's a lot of the solar people, they're so focused on trying to prove what they already know to be true about the world that they literally invent different types of oscillation modes just to show that they are right. But yet, as it says here, there are no G mode oscillation periods because the equipment they use can't even measure it. It's beyond the reach of their equipment. But I just wanted to show you guys that. As well, the neutrino flux absence, that's well known, that there's no neutrinos coming out of the sun, yet they still keep the fusion model. That falsifies it. Say, well, where's the neutrinos? Oh, they changed flavor. They just made that up. Another one is the beryllium and, let's see, where does it say here? The beryllium shouldn't exist in its abundance, and lithium shouldn't exist in its abundance in the solar atmosphere. But there they are, a whole bunch of it. But anyways, I'll have to overview this again. Look up what I'm saying and try your best to make it make sense in your mind as well. I just don't want to come out as somebody who's like, haha, I told you so. But it's more like, man, these people, they don't care for actual science anymore. They just are so absorbed with what they already believe to be true that they can no longer see reality. And that's a very, very bad thing when it comes to doing science and the philosophy of science itself. Today is July 25th, 2015.